The film takes place in 1970s Oregon during winter. A young girl is in her room drawing when she hears a noise. Curious, she grabs her Polaroid camera and steps outside. She notices a strange car parked nearby, but before she can get closer, a voice calls out from behind. Turning around, she sees a pale, eerie-looking man who calls her the almost birthday girl. When she asks who he is, he simply replies that he's wearing his long legs today. Part 1. His letters. It's now the 1990s, and at an FBI field office in Oregon, a group of rookie agents, including Lee Harker, attend a briefing about a murder suspect. The agents are assigned to canvass neighborhoods. When Lee and her partner reach their designated area, she scans the block and, following a hunch, points to a particular house. Her partner approaches the front door, but gets shots right in the head. Lee then pulls out her gun and enters the house, where she finds suspect calmly sitting on the bed. Without resistance, he surrenders. Afterward, Lee meets with her boss, Agent Carter, who praises her instincts and suggests she might be psychic or at least highly intuitive. Lee doesn't say much, but admits she has some kind of ability. Carter then assigns her to a new case involving multiple family murders. In each case, the father killed his family before taking his own life, and Zodiac-style coded letters were found at the scenes, all signed by someone called Longlegs. Later, Lee drives Carter home, and he invites her in, but she's hesitant due to her antisocial nature. She eventually agrees. Inside, she meets Carter's wife, Anna, and their daughter, Ruby. Ruby quickly takes a liking to Lee and invites her to her room. She asks if Lee always wanted to be an agent, and Lee admits she once dreamed of being an actor. Then Ruby asks the big question, if it's scary being a female FBI agent. Lee responds simply and honestly yes. Before Lee leaves, Ruby invites her to her upcoming birthday party. Later that night, at her cabin, Lee goes through the evidence from the cold cases. She also calls her mother, Ruth, but their conversation feels distant, hinting at a strained relationship. Suddenly, there's a loud pounding on her door. When she checks, no one is there. Looking out the window, she spots a figure in the woods. She steps outside to investigate, but finds nothing. Then, as she turns back, she sees the figure inside her cabin. Rushing in, she finds the intruder gone, but an envelope has been left for her, with strict instructions not to open it before January 14th. Lee carefully opens the letter, wearing gloves. Inside, she finds a 9th birthday card written in the same coded symbols as the other letters. She manages to decode part of it, a passage from the book of Revelation describing the Antichrist, a beast with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. Later, Carter takes Lee to another Longlegs crime scene, where they examine the gruesome remains of a family. Once again, the father was the killer. Back at the office, Lee shares her findings with Carter, showing him an algorithm Longlegs follows. She discovers that each murder happened 6 days before the daughter's birthday, which always fell on the 14th of the month. Based on this pattern, Lee concludes that Longlegs must have at least one accomplice. Meanwhile, Longlegs is out shopping for supplies at a hardware store. His full face remains unseen, but his long, white hair and bleached skin are visible. He behaves oddly toward the cashier, a young girl who, unfazed, simply calls for her dad, saying the creepy guy is back again. Longlegs then returns to his lair, rambling and singing to himself. Meanwhile, Lee and Carter visit the home of another murdered family, the Cameras. They search the house and barn where the killings took place. Under a crucifix nailed to the floorboards, they uncover a large doll. It eerily resembles Carrie and the family's daughter, who survived only because she wasn't home when the murders happened. They take the doll to the medical examiner, who is impressed by the craftsmanship, calling it the work of a skilled doll maker. It's intricately made and even has a brain, a small metal ball inside its head. Out of curiosity, the doctor places a microphone against the ball, and to their surprise, it emits a strange sound. As soon as Lee hears it, she experiences sudden, eerie visions. Even more unsettling, the doctor claims the doll whispered his ex-wife's name. Lee visits Carrie, Anne, who has spent nearly 20 years in a psychiatric facility. She had been completely catatonic until recently, when a visitor suddenly triggered her to start speaking again. Checking the visitor log, Lee is shocked to see her own name listed, but the handwriting clearly belongs to Longlegs. When Lee speaks with Carrie, and the woman describes disturbing visions in an eerie, detached manner, her father murdering a priest, then her mother. She also confesses that she would do anything Longlegs told her to, even kill Lee. Later, back at the office, Carter tells Lee that Longlegs know her name and she actually encountered him as a child, though she has no memory of it. Seeking answers, she visits her mother, Ruth, who lives in isolation, who seems to be irreligious. Ruth asks Lee if she still says her prayers, but Lee replies, never once, admitting that prayers terrify her. Lee offers to make Ruth something to eat, but while in the kitchen, she notices the basement door is locked, which strikes her as odd. As she looks around, she stumbles upon a stack of old Polaroids, photos she took as a child. Among them are pictures of the mysterious man who once came to their house. This is when it's revealed that the young girl from the film's opening scene was actually Lee as a child, and the man in her photos is Longlegs. Shaken, Lee takes the photos to Carter, and with this new evidence, the FBI successfully captures Longlegs, whose real name is Dale Ferdinand Cobble. But as Lee watches the interrogation feed, she's horrified when Longlegs looks directly into the camera and starts singing, "Happy Birthday."
Happy birthday, Lee Hark. And you'll be...
Lee decides to visit Longlegs in the interrogation room, and for the first time, we see his full clear face, a creepy, clown-like appearance, all bleached and unsettling. Lee asks him who else is working with him, but he only rambles about the man downstairs that he serves. He cryptically tells her to talk to her mother for the answers, and then, after wishing her a happy birthday, Longlegs violently smashes his face on the table, over and over, until he dies. The other officers come in the room, and Carter is furious with Lee for going into the room and not having Longlegs under control, because now they will never know who his accomplice is. Worse, they can't get more information from Carrie, and as she jumped off the roof of the hospital. Determined, Lee goes back to her mother's house with another agent, planning to bring Ruth in for questioning. Inside, Lee searches but can't find her mother. Then, through the window, Lee spots Ruth dressed as a nun, sneaking up on the car. Ruth blows the agent's head off with a shotgun. Horrified, Lee runs outside to find her mother holding a doll that looks just like her. Ruth claims she's finally free from Longlegs' control and shoots the doll's head off. The metal ball inside shatters, releasing strange black smoke. It's as if the moment triggers something, and Lee collapses unconscious. We hear Ruth's voice telling a story. She recounts how, when Longlegs first came to them, she begged him to spare Lee's life. In exchange, Ruth agreed to become his accomplice. He would make the dolls, and she would deliver them, posing as a nun. No one suspected anything wrong, and they would let her in. The dolls contained magical metal balls that held demonic power, influencing the family's behavior. The locked basement in the Harkus house was where Longlegs lived. The doll he made of Lee gave her psychic abilities. Ruth explains that everything she did was to protect Lee from going to hell. Lee wakes up in her old room, her mother gone. The phone rings, and when Lee answers, a voice tells her she's missing Ruby's birthday party. In a panic, she grabs her mom's old car and rushes to Carter's house, but she's too late. Ruth has already arrived. Lee tries to talk to Carter, but both he and Anna are completely under the doll's influence. Ruby, too, seems lost in the spell, hugging the doll. Ruth suggests getting the cake, so Carter and Anna head to the kitchen. A struggle ensues, and it's clear Carter is killing his wife. Lee begs Ruth to stop, but Ruth remains unmoved. As she's about to attack Ruby, Lee shoots her in the head. Desperate to destroy the doll, Lee tries to shoot its head off, but she's out of ammo. So, she grabs Ruby and escapes. The final shot shows Longlegs from the interrogation room. His expression is both eerie and gleeful as he laughs maniacally, declaring, "Hail Satan." In this way, movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more interesting movie recaps.